Hello, how's it going?
Hey
This is Terrence and
everybody,
Jill.
happy Saturday.
Yes. How's everybody doing? We hope y'all having an enjoyable weekend.
Yes, we missed last Saturday because I was with my girls.
That's okay.
My
That's
girls was
okay.
in town, so but we here. Oh, we was on Wednesday
Yeah,
for live.
absolutely.
Welcome to our channel.
Yes, and for those of you that don't know, we've been squeezing in like a live. We're trying to get it into our lives now. So,
Right,
we hopefully can do some notifications and kind of just let you give you a heads up. But
hmm
sometimes it just like
right.
right now we'd be like, you know what, let's just try to go live. So we're trying to put that in.
hmm
So hopefully you guys will be able to jump in on our live soon.
Yes, which are usually during the middle of the week, Tuesdays or Wednesdays or Thursdays.
Yes.
So, but yeah, so if this is your first time on our channel, please subscribe. Please
Yes.
turn on your notifications. Please give us a thumbs up. Please comment
Yes.
because we do respond.
We do.
We do.
We do.
So
Please share with others.
share.
Yes.
hmm
Please do that.
Yeah.
And if this is your first, also please take an opportunity to go back and look at some of our earlier videos,
Right. Right.
especially in the beginning, so you can understand and learn how this even came to be.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
So just to real quickly, if this is your first time, we are newlyweds. We
Yes.
are going on 11 months of marriage.
Yes.
And I gotta say this the right way because you say I'm saying it incorrectly. So I was 52 when I got married. So I was
Yes.
52 last year when I got married. Never had any children, never got married, and I believed God for my the perfect person He had for me. I didn't settle. It was not easy, but yeah, I stayed committed to what I believe truly
Mm-hmm.
in my heart. I didn't want to be married for the sake of being married.
Right.
So yes, please go follow, go watch our first videos because you'll see more of you know how we came to be. But just know that we're not. This is not relationship advice that we give at all. So this is our testimony. What we do here is we encourage those who are single, because we believe that we've been through that.
We've been in God's waiting room for a very long time before He introduced us to each other. So
Right.
we feel we have an understanding of where you all are as you go through your
Yes.
waiting period.
Yes.
And we just want to give you encouragement throughout that period.
Yes. Yes. So if you're single and you're believing
Yes.
God for a mate, you in the right place. Because we're gonna
Yes.
encourage you because it's coming. He's coming. He is coming.
And
So
another thing is, I believe is important to say is she said that she was over 50, so was I, but what we want you to understand is we were in God's waiting room and it took to that time in our lives for him to introduce us to each other.
yes.
We didn't wait until after we were 50 and then decided we wanted to get married. We were already believing that God was going to introduce us to someone when we was in our 40s or earlier.
Yeah.
And it just took until we were in our 50s. We just never gave up hope.
Yeah.
Like she said, we didn't settle.
We didn't settle.
And we just waited and waited until God was ready to introduce us to each other. So we just want to let you know that it's not only is it possible, it happened to us, so it's going to definitely happen for
If
you
you
as
want
well.
it, it is God
Yes,
ordained for you to be married for marriage.
absolutely,
So yes. So baby, what
absolutely.
we talking about today?
So today we're going to talk about embracing one of the best seasons of our lives, or
Or of your life.
of our life, yes, when we were single, and what impacts. It's almost like we're going to share some moments that we feel like kind of defining moments in our life as
Yes.
a single individual before we met.
Yes, because I think a lot of times, a lot of us, we overlook that season, that single season. And I'm gonna tell you, it is one of the best seasons ever. And so we're encouraging you to embrace your
Yes.
single season. And when I say embrace it in a way where you're not thinking about a mate. Like make sure you're
Yes.
maximizing and maxing out your single season, where you're not thinking about it. And let me tell you something real quickly before we give, we both want to tell the three things that we did in our when we were single that didn't have nothing to do with a mate. But I was when we were getting this topic together, I had to like all through my 20s. I wasn't. Me and my girlfriends weren't thinking about marriage. Like we had girlfriends who were like wanting a husband because we were raised in a church. But we was like, even though we were raised in the church, we did our thing outside the church, and so we wasn't thinking about marriage. We had boyfriends, and I remember the boyfriend that broke my heart. Like he told me, I'm basically leaving you because the girl I'm, with now, she's right, mind, body, and spirit, and they got married right after he broke my heart. So he was ready to be married. But I can honestly say I was all through my 20s. I didn't think about marriage. And it wasn't until like my mid 30s that I started thinking about it. But honestly, it wasn't until my 40s that I can officially say I was started the waiting room. But the waiting room period. But yeah, so I was thinking, I was like, heck, like I really did embrace my singlehood. So in my single season. So baby, what's some of the defining things? What's the first defining thing that happened to you? What did you focus on? Like what yeah, what was one of the things?
Okay, well, one of the first things I believe was a defining moment for me, and I know y'all hear me talk about this in every video that y'all see, is just my faith in God. And I learned later, that I really had a desire and a hunger for the word. And so
Mm-hmm.
I really invested a lot of time in just, trying to understand the word, trying to hear God's voice. So I really enjoyed that. And even now I've learned over the years that I've actually enjoyed that more than I probably even realized at the time, but I really enjoy studying the word.
Wow, wow,
And so
yeah.
for years, and now it's set a foundation for me that when I think about reading the Bible, it actually gets me excited. I really look forward to it. If I know I'm gonna do it at a certain time of the day, I look forward to it. So yeah, I really, really enjoy, studying the word.
Yeah, and that's even now. Like,
Yeah.
wow, yeah, because yeah, I love that's one of the things I love about you. Um, one of my things that I accomplished when I was single, is that I got a real estate license. I got a real
Oh.
estate license in Maryland and Maryland, D.C., and Virginia. And
Mm.
so, even though I had a full time job, I got that real estate license. I actually started studying for my real estate exam while I was in grad school, but I got my real estate license, and as a result, I was my first client. So I sold my condo to myself,
Wow.
and so it was just a little small, little 1 bedroom condo, which ended up being an investment property. But yeah, that was one of the things that I wasn't thinking about. I was so not thinking about a man that when I bought this condo, I was actually dating the guy who I thought I was going to end up marrying. I was dating him, and I never forget. He said to me, he said, "Well, you bought a condo." He said, "Well, how does that like if we?" I wasn't thinking about him. Like I honestly wasn't thinking about him. He had custody of his kids, and you know, and okay, I didn't even think like, okay, well, perhaps we gotta move it. I was totally nothing, and as a result, he ended up leaving me. I don't want to say because I bought a condo, but I was not. We were not on the same. It took me, a couple of years later to realize, I wasn't ready. Even though it hurt when he left, but I was not thinking about. I was so into what Jill wanted, and I'm glad I did that. I'm actually glad.
Mm. It's ironic that I knew you was gonna say something about the condo. I didn't know you was gonna say something about the real estate. But no, that I like that though, because right when you started saying it, I didn't think that that's also something that if I would have put more on the list,
Hmm.
that could have made my list.
Yes.
Because for those of you that don't know, I just recently got my real estate license.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's something that she and I share is an interest in real estate.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm about
so,
to get mine.
yeah, so, and she's about to get hers down here in North Carolina. So, oh, it's about to get ignorant. Oh, my goodness.
Yes,
We about
yes,
to have a blast.
yes,
So,
yes, yes, yes.
yes.
So,
So on my list, my next one, and I think that's really a defining moment for me, was I got to spend time with my kids. And I say my kids, these are grown folks now, but my kids did not grow up in my house with me because I have a earlier marriage that I'm divorced from. So they grew up with their mother. And I was also still in the military doing stuff. I got recalled for 9/11, so I had to leave for a year and so forth. So my kids grew up, with me on the phone, with me online, when you first started being able to see each other online and stuff like that. So I saw them every opportunity I could, but they didn't grow up in my house, you know what I mean, after a certain age. And so what was really enjoyable for me is when my kids went to college. My daughter went to the college right here in North Carolina, one of the colleges in North Carolina, it's up in the mountains. And when she did, the company that I was working for actually relocated me to the mountains, which gave me an opportunity to see her all the time. And my son was going to another college, excuse me, and he realized where I had just relocated to, and he called me up like, Dad, I want to come stay with you. So he came up. So I ended up having my kids together with me up in the mountains, and we were up there until just before, like, a few months before my daughter graduated, and then we moved back down here. But that was the world to me, because it gave us an opportunity for them to learn me, for me to learn them, for us to have some conversations. And now these are grown kids, so we wasn't talking like they were little kids anymore. These were actually grown conversations.
right.
So it really gave a chance for us to really put a foundation to our relationship, although they were grown. And so even now, they call me, check on me, make sure old man is okay,
Yeah,
And
I remember when I met your daughter,
yes.
and she pulled me to the side. She said, "Thank you so much." She said, "Because I thought I was gonna have to rate. I thought I was gonna have to. I thought he was gonna be the old person. I thought I was gonna have to move him in when he was a senior citizen.
Yeah,
I was. I mean,
I
I thought it was
remember her
so good. She
saying
was
that.
such a daddy's
And
girl.
they've been they were so worried about me. Daddy, you okay? Because I have been single for so long after their mom. They always ask me, Daddy, you okay? You ain't met nobody, you ain't in a relationship. They just thought I was just,
But
you
you met
know,
people you just hadn't introduced them
right.
to.
Right.
Yeah.
And I did it on purpose, because I didn't want my daughter thinking that her dad's bringing home a different woman every day and that's the norm. So I didn't want her to see that at all. And so, yeah, just spending time with my kids. And that actually came to a really big halt, like you said, when y'all met. Because remember, you and I, we didn't even go public until after I introduced you to and allowed y'all a chance to talk. And when y'all talked that first time, I was like, man, they talking like they've known each other forever.
You can't tell me she's
You
not my
know,
daughter.
and
Like you
so
can't tell
yeah,
her. I'm like,
so I thought that was just a beautiful thing. That to me, that's really what I call like a win-win-win.
it was
For all
win-win.
three of us, it was a very big deal,
Mm-hmm.
and I just felt like, yeah, that was a win all the way around.
That's a good thing, and a lot of guys probably don't even. Well, I guess I can't say that, but that's a good thing to focus on in your single instead of thinking about a woman, like just to
No.
like put all and for women when you're single, really spending time with um, like your kids, like especially as they're getting older. Which brings me to a point talking about your kids. Like we always talk about those things that could be blocking you from getting a mate. And it could be your kids. Your kids could be praying that, I don't want my mommy to meet somebody right now.
Yeah.
Even though that's such an innocent prayer, but then your prayer has to change to say, Lord, send me somebody that's going to also embrace my kids.
Right. Right.
and that's going to also get along with that my kids will feel safe with,
Yes.
that my kids will be safe with. So yeah, that kids
Oh
thing,
yeah.
I can't even imagine. I probably, if I was a mom, a single mom, I mean, and that's just my opinion, I probably wouldn't even have gotten married until my child was over 18. I mean, that's just hindsight. Anyway, so my number two would be the thing that I did when I was single is I started a business. I started a
Yeah.
business, which is still going on.
Hmm.
So I actually left my good government job in 2010, the end of 2010, and I started my business in January 3rd of 2011, which is now the Savvy Servant. And so those of you who follow me on Instagram, I'm a nonprofit consultant. So anybody who wants to start a nonprofit or grow the
Yeah.
existing nonprofit, I'm your girl. Can help you get them grants and all that great stuff. So yeah. And I wasn't, when I started this business, like I was not thinking about. I just wasn't thinking that like this is Jill's business.
Hmm.
I thank God that now it has it I have enough of a business where it can be adjusted to my marriage. But when I was single, like this was my thing. This is like I wasn't thinking about. I got fulfillment from my business. Like I got a lot of my fulfillment. So yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. The third thing for me is um, discovering what makes me happy. And what I mean by that is many years ago, one of my dear cousins passed, and he was a deacon in his church. And what happened, he had this rare blood disease or something. Something happened all of a sudden. But the thing was, him and I talked a lot because when my dad passed when I was younger, he kind of came over all the time to visit, check on my mom to make sure we were okay. Well, long story short, as he was getting closer to, his final days, him and I had a conversation. And I asked him, cuz, how you doing? And he told me, he said, I'm doing okay. He said, at first I was scared. He said, then I was angry. He said, but then the Holy Spirit reminded me that, I'm one of their children and that I don't have nothing to worry about. And he said, so then all of a sudden a peace came over. He said, because if I can tell you one thing, what I would tell you to do is just slow down. Stop being in a rush every time you go somewhere. Slow down. He said, it's amazing now that, he said, I wait to this moment to start recognizing every blade of grass, every tree, every leaf on those trees. He said, God has created so much beauty, and we don't even take time to recognize it until it's too late. He said, so if I can tell you anything that I've learned over my life before I go home, he said, slow down. And she will tell you that's one of my biggest things in my life right now is I do everything at a very slower pace. So even when we plan our weekends, we will plan one thing and we will enjoy that one thing to the max. And if we have time to do something when we get done, there's nothing wrong with doing something else. But what we don't do is plan 5 things we're going to do on Saturday and then try to rush and get all 5 things done. We plan one thing and we will do that thing until it's over. And if we got enough time, we'll start something else or do something else. So yeah, I've really learned the importance of just taking my time and enjoying the moment, staying in the moment.
Yeah, I'm learning that from you. Slow down, because I
Yeah.
remember when we first started talking. I remember you would. I was like, "Where are you?" And you would be like, "Oh, I'm at the lake. I'm sitting.
Hmm.
I'm sitting at the lake. I brought my, my Bojangles chicken or whatever. I'm sitting at the lake,
Yeah.
or just you really, going to the movies by
Yeah.
yourself
Yeah.
and just doing things like you said, discovering your inner happiness.
Hmm.
And I'm so glad you discovered that outside, because I can't make you happy. Like, you know
True
what I
that.
mean? Like, that's not my responsibility and that's not your
Right.
responsibility.
Hmm.
We can add to it, but yeah, that's awesome, baby.
Oh,
That's
thank you,
awesome.
baby.
And then my last one, the third thing that I did, in my singlehood outside of a man. I relocated. I
Thank
relocated.
goodness that she did.
I relocated, and to be honest with you, it was actually um, one of the major results of because I had broken up with the guy that said, "Well, I just wanted to get to know you." And after, it was it wasn't a heartbreak, but it was a disappointment that he and I stopped, you know, talking or whatever. And so I felt like I had nothing to lose. My business was growing and booming, and I got a business opportunity with a nonprofit down here, and they offered me a consulting contract, and I said, you know what? I first started to visit, and I was doing working remotely from in Maryland, and then one day I came down and I was like, you know what? What's holding me back? Only thing was holding me back was my condo. But other than that, I nothing was holding me back. Um, that the real estate market then had kind of bellied up, and so I no longer had the real estate. Like I had let that expire. And I said, you know what? One day I said, and it was in the spring. It was in. I said, you know what? I am relocating. I had come down here, and it was such a vibe. I remember I went to a jazz, like a jazz dinner club in Durham, BU Cafe. There was a nice little jazz playing. The night was beautiful. It was just the vibe was, and I was like, I'm moving down here. Like it was a difference, and I promise you, it wasn't until I moved to North Carolina that I started getting out and doing things and really being social and
Oh
wanting
wow.
to really live and going out to just exploring the outdoors. And so and I didn't have a man thought, and that was in 2014. I didn't think about a man because at that time I was like, okay, it didn't work out with the last guy. Clearly, I'm not gonna have a baby. So at that point, I was able to slow down. And so yeah, and so I didn't pick up wanting a mate probably until I was 3 or 4 years later. But yeah, that's something I did I relocated. I was able to just make a decision and just go to another city and start all over.
Wow.
So yeah, so the single city, a lot of people overlooked that single city and really got marriage as the frontal part. Like they make decisions, all their decisions on a future husband that they don't have yet, or a future wife that they don't. And I understand that part because I wouldn't have purchased like I purchased a home with the thought of it's going to either be an investment property or something I could sell. Like when we get like I never said okay he's going to move, my husband is going to move into this little condo, but I wasn't even thinking like yeah like for me. But yeah, just to be able to make some decisions being single is something like if marriage comes that it can be adjusted, and making decisions where it's not blocking, you know, a future husband, but just making some life decisions that like you can make because you're single, like you can do. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
so
So, with that said, hopefully you see that, while you're in whatever season you're in, enjoy yourself. I don't know how to explain it. I can just say that when I, the one reason why I know I turned everything over to God when it comes to believing in Him on Him introducing me to my helpmate was that everything I just went into a very nice peace.
yes,
That season,
it
just
was
before
so
we met,
peaceful,
before he introduced us, all the way through was just so peaceful.
such
I didn't
peace.
worry about, I didn't think about, oh my God, I gotta meet somebody. My work was great that year. I got so many awards. Um, my supervisors, awarded me like blocks of money. You know, just things just fell into place, and it just felt like everything was easy for me that year. I was just chilling. I wasn't tripping about nothing. I was just in my own little world, and things just went so smoothly because I wasn't worried about anything.
Yeah, me because I was at the point where I had already said, Lord, if you don't want
Yeah,
me to be married, then just give me a peace about it. And I had a peace.
yeah.
Um, even though we know now that He ordains
Mm-hmm.
marriage. But yeah, that's how I was at
Absolutely.
peace. So,
Absolutely.
so what does the word say?
So, y'all know me. Before we leave, we got to say something about the word, about our topic, just so we can tie it all in, because we want y'all to know that God is definitely leading this marriage and everything that we're doing.
And your singlehood
Yes,
is
so
definitely in this season. So embrace it because He's there and He wants you fully present.
yes. So what I want to do is I'm going to read this one scripture. Okay, it's Ecclesiastes 3, and I'm going to read down to probably verse 5, all the way through verse 5, just so you understand. And all of you have heard this before, but I don't know if you've heard it down this far. But I'm going to read the first 5 verses for you, okay? And that is, again, it's Ecclesiastes 3, starting at verse 1. It says, a time for everything. There's a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to uproot. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to tear down and a time to build. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to scatter stones and a time to gather them. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing.
Yes.
So we just wanted to share this with you all, that while you where you are, embrace your moments. Enjoy your moments. Because as much as you want to be married, as much as you want to find that soulmate, once you get married, you won't be single anymore. So please think about the importance of everything that you're doing, the fun that you can have, but also the learning that you're going through. And just embrace it. Embrace it. Be your true self to yourself.
Yes. Yes. Yep.
So with that said, we're going to let you guys get back to what you was doing.
Yes.
Please enjoy your Saturday. Know we love you. Know God loves you. And know that your soulmate is on the way.
Yes. And if you need prayer,
Yes.
please email us, terrenceandjill@gmail.com.
Yes.
Because we'll pray with you. No cost, no obligation.
Absolutely.
But we'll agree with you. Main prayer is that this season, like, don't waste it on, I need a husband. I want a husband. Like, really let go and release and let God, because it's probably as soon as you let go and embrace the single season and just be out and enjoying the beautiful weather, because it is a new season, just ironically coming up. That's probably when you're going to meet him.
Tap you on the shoulder.
Yes, he's going to say,
hey,
hey,
guess
you
what?
look beautiful in that sundress. I love that color on you. Like, yeah, could I take you out, for coffee or tea or whatever, or for a glass of wine or something. So yeah. Yep. So you all be blessed, and we're gonna go and enjoy our Saturday, and our new season that's coming up.
Absolutely.
All right. So
Deuces.
deuces.